The clash happened over breakfast. Her father was already gone for work, leaving just the two of them at the table. Her mother poured coffee, her expression composed, as if the night before had never happened. "Did you enjoy yourself with your friend?" Claire asked suddenly, her tone like ice. The cup halted midair in her mother's hand. "What are you talking about?" "I saw you," Claire whispered, her throat tight. "At the bar. With him." For a fleeting second, her mother's face broke. Then the mask snapped back into place. She forced a laugh, too light, too fragile. "Claire, you must be mistaken. He's just helping me with work. Don't jump to conclusions." The lie coated Claire's tongue like ash. "Work. Is that what you call kissing in a booth while Dad's away?" The words landed like a slap. Her mother's smile vanished, her eyes turning cold. "Enough. You don't understand what you saw." "No," Claire said, standing, anger shaking her voice. "I understand perfectly. You're lying to me, to him, to all of us." Her mother rose too, her tone sharp. "You think you know everything just because you followed me once? You're a child, Claire. Stay out of what doesn't concern you." But it did concern her. Every hidden laugh, every stolen kiss was a blade tearing into the family Claire thought was whole. And to be dismissed as a child only deepened the wound. Rage burned through her chest, tears threatening, but she refused to let them fall. "You're tearing everything apart, and you won't even admit it." For a moment, her mother's face softened, guilt flickering like a shadow. Then it was gone. "One day you'll understand," she said quietly, almost pleading. Claire shook her head. "No. I'll never understand betraying the people you claim to love." She stormed out of the kitchen and slammed her bedroom door. On the other side, her body crumpled into uncontrollable sobs. The words she had spoken echoed in her ears, heavy but true. The rest of the day was smothered in silence. They moved around each other like strangers, the air thick with things unsaid. That evening, when her father called to check in, her mother's voice was sugar-sweet, laughter flowing as if nothing had happened. Claire listened from the hallway, hatred twisting inside her. It wasn't only the affair, it was the lies stacked on top of it. Lies woven so smoothly her father would never doubt. Lies told even to Claire, the daughter who used to be her confidant. That night, Claire sat by her window, staring into the dark. She thought of Daniel, the way his eyes had sliced into her at the cafe, the sly smile that thrived on secrets. Danger radiated from him. She felt it. And now her mother was tangled around him, blind to it all. Claire wiped her face, fists clenching. If her mother refused to see the threat, then she would. She would watch him, track him, dig into whatever lay behind that polished surface. Because Daniel wasn't just stealing her mother's affection. He was poisoning their lives. And Claire would not let him win. She began to notice him everywhere. Though rarely out in the open, he existed in fragments. His name whispered during late-night calls, his shadow cast across the driveway when he dropped her mother off, the faint scent of his cologne clinging to her clothes. Each clue sharpened Claire's hatred. One Saturday, her mother suggested a shopping trip, as if forced cheer could mend what was broken. Claire followed quietly through racks of dresses. Then Daniel appeared. He strolled in with that easy swagger, greeting her mother like their meeting was pure chance. But Claire knew better. "Claire," her mother said brightly. "This is Daniel, an old friend." Daniel extended his hand, his smile flawless, his voice silk. "Pleasure to meet you." Claire hesitated before taking it. His grip lingered just a fraction too long, firm enough to send a chill up her arm. His eyes locked onto hers, probing, as though peeling back layers of thought. For her mother's sake, Claire forced a polite nod. Inside, alarms blared. There was something under that smile, calculated, daring. Daniel stayed with them all afternoon. He carried the bags, charmed the cashier, told stories that made her mother laugh. To anyone else, he looked perfect. But Claire saw the flickers in his gaze, directed at her, testing, mocking, relishing her unease. When her mother slipped away to try on a dress, Daniel leaned against the wall near Claire. His voice dropped, low and casual. "You don't like me much, do you?" Claire's throat constricted. She wanted to deny it, but his smirk said he already knew. He leaned closer, speaking for her ears alone. "Your mother deserves happiness, don't you think?" Claire glared at him. "Not like this." For an instant his smile faltered. His eyes turned hard, sharp as ice. Then the smooth mask returned. Careful, Claire. Sometimes knowing too much only makes life harder. Her chest tightened. It wasn't a threat spoken outright, but the weight of it pressed heavy. He was reminding her who held the power, not just over her mother, but over her too. When her mother came back into the room, Daniel slid seamlessly into charm, laughing at some harmless remark as if nothing had ever happened. Claire trailed behind in silence, but inside her heart thudded with certainty. Daniel wasn't just a bad choice, he was dangerous. That night she replayed it all. His stare, his words, the way he shifted personas so easily. Her mother couldn't see it, blinded by love, loneliness, or maybe both. But Claire could. She began digging. On her laptop, she combed through social media, public records, old names, any lead she could trace. And there it was, buried deep. Arrest for fraud. An assault charge dismissed years earlier. A string of debts tied to shifting addresses. Every discovery drove another nail into the coffin of the man her mother adored. Her hands shook as she shut the laptop. Now she had proof, enough to tear apart the illusions her mother clung to. Yet she sensed it wouldn't be that simple. Daniel's grip on her mother went beyond affection, and men like him didn't release their hold easily. Still, Claire made herself a vow. She wouldn't just stand by anymore. She would fight. Though she had never felt so isolated, she had never been more resolute. The truth about Daniel burned inside her like a weapon. And while fear gnawed at her edges, she knew she had to use it. If her mother refused to see, then Claire would force her to. She had declared war. Silent, invisible, but lethal. The first step was gathering evidence. Each time Daniel's name flashed on her mother's phone, she logged the time. She memorized snippets of messages glimpsed on the counter, stringing them together piece by piece. She uncovered receipts tucked in her mother's purse, lavish dinners, hotel stays, cash withdrawals her father knew nothing about. At school, her mind drifted constantly. While teachers lectured, she filled the margins of her notebooks with timelines, arrows linking names and dates. She told no one, not even her best friend. This wasn't rumor or heartbreak. This was survival. Late at night, she scrolled through Daniel's social media. His pages were carefully curated, him grinning in bars, surrounded by friends, posing as the kind of man everyone liked. But Claire dug beneath the surface. She found bitter comments from ex-girlfriends, quiet warnings tucked between the lines. Asterisk, stay away. He ruins everything. Asterisk. One photo showed a faint scar tracing his jaw, something she hadn't noticed in person. It stripped away some of his polished invincibility, made him more real. But the more she uncovered, the darker he became. Entire stretches of his life had vanished, with no record of where he lived or worked. Whispered threads online spoke of stolen money, broken people, but nothing that ever stuck. He was smoke, slippery and untouchable. Still, Claire pressed forward. She started recording. Whenever Daniel visited while her father was gone, she left her phone hidden on the kitchen counter. At first, all she caught were strained conversations. But one night, his voice sank into something harder. "You know I don't like waiting," he told her mother, sharp and cold. "If you're serious about us, you'll have to prove it." Claire's stomach knotted as she replayed the clip again and again. Prove it. The words rang like an order, a threat disguised as love. Her mother's voice was faint, nearly lost. "Please, not yet. She's still young." Claire froze. Daniel was talking about her. The realization sent ice down her spine. She wasn't just a bystander anymore. She was part of his leverage, a piece of his control over her mother. For the first time, Claire felt true fear. Not just for her family, but for herself. Daniel wasn't just a threat. He was studying her, waiting, perhaps plotting. But instead of breaking her, fear only hardened her resolve. She transferred the recording to a USB drive, tucking it beneath a loose board in her bedroom floor. On her laptop, she created a folder named Truth, stuffing it with screenshots, receipts, and every shred of evidence she could uncover. This was her battleground, a hidden war fought within the walls of her own home. Yet with every file she saved, she felt the space around her closing in tighter. Daniel was shrewd, and if he caught wind of her digging too far, the price would be severe. Even so, Claire reminded herself, wars aren't won by retreating. They're won by standing firm. And if Daniel was inviting a fight, she wouldn't back down. The silence with her mother had become unbearable. For weeks, they circled one another like adversaries trapped in the same cage. Her mother clutching her lies, Claire gathering proof in secret. But battles waged in shadows can't last forever. Truth eventually demands to be spoken. It happened on a stormy night. Rain battered the windows, the wind tearing through the trees like a warning cry. Claire sat at the kitchen table, her laptop glowing with the folder of evidence, screenshots, receipts, recordings. Her arsenal was ready. Her mother entered, damp from the rain, her smile as strained as ever. "Why are you still awake?" she asked, tossing her purse onto the counter. Claire turned the screen toward her. "Because I'm done pretending." Her mother froze. On the display, the bar receipt, the hotel booking, and the voice recording already playing. Daniel's voice echoed through the room. "Asterisk, if you're serious about us, prove it. Asterisk." Her mother's face drained of color. "Claire, where did you?" "I've been watching," Claire interrupted, her voice trembling but firm. "I know everything. I know who he really is." For a split second, the mask slipped. Guilt flickered in her mother's eyes before anger replaced it. "You had no right to spy on me." "No right." Claire's voice cracked but carried force. "I had every right. You're tearing this family apart. You're lying to Dad, to me, and letting him control you." Her mother's hands shook as she reached for the laptop. Claire snapped it shut, pulling it close. "Don't," she warned. Tears shimmered in her mother's eyes. "You don't understand, Claire. Daniel makes me feel alive. He gives me something I haven't felt in years." Claire recoiled, disgust burning in her chest. "And what about us? What about Dad? You're throwing everything away for a man who threatens you. Who threatens me." Her mother shook her head, voice breaking. "You don't know him the way I do." Claire slammed her fist against the table. "I know exactly who he is. I've seen the arrests, the debts, the records. He's dangerous, Mom. You just refuse to see it." Outside, thunder cracked, echoing the fury in her chest. Her mother's shoulders buckled beneath the weight of the truth. And still she whispered, "I love him." The words gutted Claire. Love. A word once sacred, now tainted. She stumbled back, staring at the stranger her mother had become. "Then you've already made your choice," she whispered. Her mother reached out desperately. "Please, Claire. Don't tell your father. He wouldn't understand. We can fix this. We can." Claire stepped away, tears streaming hot down her face. "You want me to guard your lies? To stay silent while he destroys us? I won't." For a long, searing moment, the only sound was rain hammering the roof. Then her mother's voice broke through, trembling yet edged with steel. "If you say anything, you'll regret it." Those weren't her mother's words. They were Daniel's shadow speaking through her. Claire's chest clenched. This was no longer about betrayal. It was survival. She ran upstairs, her body shaking, mind burning. Her mother had chosen Daniel, even over her own daughter. And if Daniel felt cornered, he wouldn't hesitate to strike. Lying awake, listening to the storm rage, Claire understood. The war had escalated. Words wouldn't be enough anymore. The next move would be his. When the storm finally passed, its weight still pressed heavy in her chest. Days crawled by in uneasy silence. Her mother drifted around the house like a ghost, avoiding Claire's gaze. Her father stayed oblivious, swallowed by work and routine. And Daniel disappeared from sight, but never from thought. His presence lingered like a shadow she couldn't escape. One evening, Claire wandered to the park, hoping the cool autumn air might clear her mind. The paths were nearly empty, leaves rustling at her feet. She kept her earbuds in, but the dread from that night in the kitchen never left her. Every snapped twig made her glance behind. As dusk settled, she sat on a swing, the chains creaking under her weight. Her thoughts circled. The hidden folder beneath the floorboard, her mother's broken confession, Daniel's voice demanding proof. So lost in thought, she almost missed him. A tall figure approached, his steps slow, deliberate, familiar. That controlled confidence was unmistakable. "Daniel."